we moved here when my father got out of the Air Force in 1965. So I'm 62 now. I was born in 1958, so do the math. Anyway, I've been here since 1965, where this side of I-20 was all farm, pretty much. We lived over in Birdland. It was Plantation Acres across the street from Rockdale County High School. We called it Birdland because all the streets are named after birds. I lived on Lark Lane, and so that's where I grew up. My fondest memories are probably being able to just leave the house in the morning and either go to the woods that the American Legion owned, or walking into Old Town Conyers. Of course, it wasn't known as Old Town Conyers. It was just Conyers at the time. And you never had to worry about anything. You jumped on your bike and you went to town, and so you were able to exhibit some independence. That's what I liked about growing up here. And parents didn't really have to worry as much about things. So that's I enjoy that. Every Saturday it was a routine. Me and my sister would go to the movie theater in Old Town. 50 cents, you could see a double feature. You could take $1 and that would get you into the movie, get you popcorn, a Coca-Cola, and a candy bar, and be able to stop at Beasley's on the way walking home and get something else with $1. So that was a much different time. As far as change goes, one of the biggest changes I saw was around, I think it was 1974, 1975. There was an influx of people from Atlanta coming out to Conyers. I guess we were just a little bit ahead of time in 1965, because actually the year before I went to first grade in Atlanta, and my father decided, well, we're going to move out into the country. It's not country anymore. So a big change was with segregation. And even though I went to first grade, or I went to kindergarten in the military, so integration, nobody thought about being segregated in the military. I mean, I had good friends that were of every nationality whenever he was in the Air Force. But we moved to Conyers, and it was different. And J.P. Carr was pretty much kindergarten to 12th grade for the black children. And then, we had there was only a couple of elementary schools at the time, Main Street and Pine Street. And so there was a big change whenever I was in high school with the influx of people from Atlanta at that time escaping the city because of the fights in the high schools and whatnot. So obviously Conyers, like everywhere else, would change. All of a sudden the family units started deteriorating because we as parents were not engaged in our children. Not that my parents let me go in the morning and go do our thing, but there was just, I guess, wasn't as much to get into at that point. So yeah, that's the biggest change I've seen is parents not being engaged and other parents not being engaged also. If I got in trouble or if I was up to something, it wasn't just my parents. It was other parents that would say, well, I know whose boy you are, and they would discipline you, which is, that's unheard of today, disciplining somebody else's children. You talk bad about them, but you don't discipline them. So that's one of the biggest changes that I've seen, is the whole overall culture. But I'm sure it's not just Conyers. It's everywhere. Well, I'll tell you what, right now, things have changed. For the longest time, what kept me here was family. My parents were here. My wife's parents were here. It's where I grew up. My grandparents used to live here, so that was what tied me here. Even whenever I started working and worked out west for a couple of years, I always felt a draw back to Conyers, especially with my job. I travel a lot, and I wanted my wife to have a support group, and instead of leaving her high and dry wherever, someplace we didn't know anybody. So we moved back to Conyers because of that. And that pretty much kept us. That I never even thought about moving. And my job, I was fortunate enough, my job, I didn't have to worry about keeping a job here where I could live in Conyers. So that was the biggest thing, just family ties. Happy 150th birthday, Rockdale County. We hope that 150 years from now, our great-great-great-grandchildren will be able to still enjoy it. But happy birthday.